So what does death mean to me? To me, death is one of the most complex concepts to try and understand, given that physiologically it's pretty straightforward and simple of an event. So to me, everybody has an expiration date, which is no mystery to any of us. And whether it be to disease or an accident or just time, one day your expiration date rolls around the corner and you die. So when taken in that kind of context, it's a little bit too simple, you could say, but that's what happens every time. And to me, what I find so complicated about death is not necessarily the event itself, but what follows. Because I think that in itself is the most varying in nature, and depending on the story and on the context, death can either be met with, family members feeling like a sense of relief, even happiness, so to speak. And on the flip side, it can also be met with like crippling grief and, despair and people not knowing how they're going to continue on, given that they'll never see this person again. But that in itself is the very interesting part, is that regardless of the context, the story is the same, and the implication of not seeing that person ever again is the same. And for this reason, I don't think death in itself is the sad part. To me, I think that the sadness that's attributed to death is associated with the people that get left behind, the people that, are left to deal with living a life without that person. Because I think for the individual, whether they be 9 or 90, whether they died because of a disease or an accident, they're either going to be, death was going to meet their enduring suffering with kind of a sense of overall peace, or that death is going to end their suffering or pain, and that's it for them. And I think they're on to bigger and better things. So I'm not afraid of dying. I'm more so afraid of leaving people behind. And I think that in itself is what makes death so sad, and why I don't think death in itself is sad. I think death is kind of a peaceful idea, and hence why it's so complicated, because death, if death is peaceful, why do people always, see it as something relatively sad? Obviously, selfishly, we want to say it's sad, but it's just so complicated and really quite difficult to kind of try and put into words how you feel about death. So I guess that's my best recounting of what death means to me.